we're running an ad that says, "We give a shit about your shit."
Okay.
And we also recently posted this thing on Instagram that said that truly health is all you need for a pot of gold.
Yes.
So we're trying to use humor to kind of destigmatize a lot of these
Yes.
a lot of these major issues.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Voice It with Karishma. I am super excited today because we have two lovely people today with us. We're doing this special session with Radhika and Simran. They are co-founders of this new brand called Truly Health. They will be elaborating about it very soon. It's a probiotic brand. And we're going to discuss about a lot of things from their journey to what the idea behind the brand is, a little bit about their backgrounds, what it is that kind of motivated them to start this. And we're looking at a very fun conversation today. So welcome to both of you. It's very lovely to have you both here, and a very warm welcome from our side to you.
Thank you, Karishma. Thank you so much.
I can't believe this.
Yeah, I mean, when you put it out loud in the open, you're just like, oh, this just got really real.
Yes, thank you. So what we're going to do now is that, Radhika and Simran, tell us this thing where, so I know what Truly Health is all about. I think it's a fantastic initiative from you guys. Okay. So much young energy, so much passion to be doing something in the health space. Okay. To begin with, tell us about, individually about your journey till now. What is it that, you guys were doing before you created the brand, and, what it is that you both are contributing to the brand. Please tell everybody about this.
Sure. So Simran, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Cool. So this actually started back in my first year of college. Simran and I met for the first time in our first year, and we instantly hit it off. We've been best friends ever since. And in my first year of college, I had microbiology as a subject, and I didn't really pay attention to anything in college apart from this one lecture, which really ended up helping me in the future. I didn't know it then, but after college, I ended up in venture capital for a bit, and I had a really nice boss who saw a lot of potential and pushed me to do as much as I could with my time. At the same time, I met some friends who were in the nutraceutical space. So a series of serendipitous events kind of came together and helped us conceptualize this business. And the day I had the idea, I called Simran, and somehow she happened to be in Bombay. And I was like, "Can you come home? Can we discuss this?" And she said, "Okay, fine." And we discussed it, and 2 weeks from then, I quit my job, and we had started working on this company. And I think it's been an amazing journey with so many ups and maybe more downs than ups. But it's been great to have Simran, and I think we have a long way to go till we're properly established and even satisfied.
Yes, fantastic. Simran, you want to add your bit?
Yeah, so as you all know, Radhika, one fine evening, she drops a call saying that I've got this really cool idea, and the VC I'm working at, my boss has asked me to, take it forward, and I'm very excited about that. I want to see how that works out. So we met over dinner, we were discussing, we were looking at too many brands that we would probably take inspiration from, a lot of research papers here and there, and then, the point where we thought about doing this and the point where we actually reach where the ideation and implementation actually happened. I think that in itself was a journey, as Radhika said, filled with ups and downs. And before this, I have a degree in microbiology and biochemistry. So, I mean, it made sense for Radhika to call me, and also the fact that we work at the same wavelength. So yeah, I think the connection happened. Then Radhika shared her ideas with me. We instantly connected on the idea as well. And since then, we've been researching together. We've been brainstorming together. And I'm sure this process is not going to stop anytime soon.
That is so sweet. I love the aspect where, there's this thing about, so two aspects, okay, rather. The first one being that I love when, women get together and empower each other. Okay. I see so much of this energy lacking in so many people. A lot of other women feel like, when they see another woman successful, or maybe, having a little bit edge over something else, it's always this thing where they want to like pull somebody down, or they want to like, not really encourage that kind of energy. But I feel like, the power is in actually kind of harnessing all this divine feminine energy together and, exploring what we can do with all these things. What is it that we can probably, how is it that we can probably explore all these things? How is it that we can, add and add and add our own expertise to a certain foundation, and we can create magic with that. So first aspect that I love is that, you both coming together, being friends first of all, and then getting into this whole venture together. So absolutely fantastic, lots more power to you both. The second aspect is that, I feel like it takes guts to actually venture into an industry which is so dominated with so many more people doing things on a larger scale. You guys have entered the whole probiotics avenue, or I would say the whole probiotics culture, right? But that being said, there are so many bigger players, and that didn't kind of like intimidate you guys at all. And that just goes to say that, we're moving beyond an aspect where we're looking at entrepreneurship, we're looking at honing our skills, we're looking at creating new products, just with an aspect where it's our passion, it's our motivation, and it's our own willpower which is pushing us to do these things.
Yeah,
I think it's beautiful. It's amazing.
Well, yeah, thank you. Just adding on to that,
Go on, Simran. Sorry.
No, I agree with both the points. I think on the first point, it's very important. So for me, like just giving an example of Radhika, I think it's in my interest that the women and the people around me do well, because I think that's how we are going to rise as a community too. So rather than pulling anyone down, I think what we should focus on is how we can optimize relations with everyone and how we can wish well for the person you're working with and you're working around. And on the second front, I think we do get intimidated by these brands, but when we came together, we thought if we have something better to offer, why wait? Like, why stop? There are going to be brands in every different domain that we try to enter. But, if we already have an idea and if we think we're making a difference in this healthcare community, then why wait? Everyone needs to start from somewhere. And that's how we took the leap. And that's why we're here.
Fantastic. You want to add something, Radhika?
Yeah, I love that, Simran. I think that makes a lot of sense. Even what you said, Karishma, I think is super relevant. But to the first point, I think there is this kind of switch that you have to turn off in your head.
Yes.
I think to some extent, our default position is to be jealous and is to compete.
Yes.
And I do think that when you're in an environment that is nurturing enough, that switch gets turned off automatically. And I think we've been lucky to be in an environment such as that. And I hope that we can ensure that we create that environment for other women around us.
Exactly.
And I think the second point, Simran and I have discussed this, I think in great depth, because a lot of people have asked us how we're going to compete with larger corporations and how we'd compete with other brands in the nutraceutical space. And I think our unique value proposition is that we can harness the power of community that a lot of larger brands don't do. We have the agility to market a certain way and to spread a message beyond just the product.
Yes.
And in terms of what other maybe like nutraceutical players, proper brands don't do, I think what we do differently is focus on the research, just the way larger companies do. So with our research focus that Simran really takes seriously, and the brand side that I try to focus on, I think we have this advantage over the other players. And I think that's what lets us sleep at night to some extent, knowing that we can compete in both these spaces.
Yes, I think it's beautiful. I love the aspect where you just mentioned, you both told me that you guys are from this microbiology and science background, and then I see how you both have just beautifully infused all the business knowledge that you guys have kind of like done your research on and spoken about so beautifully, like Radhika just mentioned right now, so many different aspects about looking at business, and how you Simran manage the whole R&D also. These things are so important. I feel like another big example of women in business, wherein we're not limited to one particular thing. We can multitask, we can actually be all over the place, and we can actually figure out how to do things if only we are left to our own, and if we're empowered enough to do that, given support from our environment, given support from the kind of, culture that we come from. So I think that was beautiful. Thank you. So both of you, I want to ask you, why probiotics? And, was there a certain kind of a personal interest in it, or was it something that kind of, you witnessed or you went through, that you guys finally chose that when we start a company, we want it to be focused on and dominated by the whole probiotic industry? Please tell us about that.
So I think what happened is I've had this idea since my first year of college, and I spoke to my boss in VC about it. And the original idea was to collect stool samples and then have them tested and see what is missing and design personalized supplements. And when I told him about this, I was telling him that it's a logistical nightmare and I don't think I'd ever pursue this idea. And he was like, okay, but you can look at concerns and work backwards. And I was like, oh my God, why didn't I think of this? And when I told Simran about it, because she's a microbiology major, she was like, this actually makes sense.
Yes.
Like it's not stupid, you're not dumb. And I was like, okay, thank God, that makes sense. And I think we also realized that probiotics are a great differentiator from a lot of other brands, and Simran had a lot of belief in the concept. So that's my perspective on this. What's yours, Simran?
Makes sense. Yes.
Yeah, so the moment Radhika, told me about probiotics, and I got to researching because I was very excited by the idea of, entering this space, working with Radhika. And the moment I, started researching, it's very evident. The moment you go on online, you'll see that how everything is just related to your gut, how it is the future. Something as small as an acne on your face to something as large as probably an irritable bowel syndrome or diarrhea. Even your mood, even your immunity, how strong that is, everything is ultimately tied to the gut. And I was always intrigued by in the healthcare space. I always wanted to work in the healthcare space, so I thought if we can make waves in this space, then this is the way to go forward. This is how you're supposed to start. This is how you're going to create the maximum impact, which is why I continued with research, saw promise, and then took it forward.
Fantastic. Wow, that's nice. Women on an agenda. I love it. This is awesome. Okay. Radhika mentioned this thing, and I want to kind of like put a little light on this. It's connected to the space that I come from, which is why I want to kind of like put out this information. So many people shy from talking about the quality of their poop and the way that their urine looks like. Okay, it's got this very stupid stigma about it. But you know what? I want to tell you guys this. From my experience of working with so many people, addressing gut issues in my clients every day, everyone who comes along has some or the other kind of a digestive issue. It's connected to the food that you eat. It's connected to the way that, your excretion process works in the body. The detoxification works in your body, right? Now, just by observing the quality of your poop and by observing the quality of your urine, it could be things like the color, the structure of it, okay, the smell of it, the way that the process is smooth or difficult for you, right? So looking at these small aspects, you can come to know the health of the person. It's something, when we talk about Ayurveda as well, right? How we notice so many different aspects of a person to finally figure out their dosha, their body dosha. The same way, if people just kind of focused more on the kind of excretion that is coming out, they would actually understand what is their health like. It shows you so many symptoms, so many signs over there. And I feel like, what, you don't need to shy away from it. It's not something dirty. No, it's a very important health aspect which you need to keep in mind, because if you notice that there's a problem with the kind of excretion that is happening, you can actually target your areas where you need help, the areas where you need to kind of intervene. It could be with food, it could be with probiotics, it could be with a proper detox of the gut and reigniting it. So I feel like thank you, Radhika, for kind of like bringing it up, because you like kind of started it from there. And I always, even when I'm working with my clients, right, when we ask questions, it has to get a little bit more personal, and it has to get into this aspect where we are discussing even the tiniest of things, because you're getting your answers from there.
100%. And I think in our own way, we're trying to destigmatize it a bit through our Instagram posts and some ads that we're running. I don't know if I'm allowed to use the word shit here, am I?
That's fine, you can.
So we're running an ad that says, we give a shit about your shit.
Okay.
And we also recently posted this thing on Instagram that said that truly health is all you need for a pot of gold.
Yes.
So we're trying to use humor to kind of destigmatize a lot of these
Yes.
major issues.
No, I love it. I love it. I feel like thank you for addressing it, and I also feel like the tagline that you just spoke about. You know, you we always. It's important for us to then, even if we put it out in the form of humor, or we put it out in form of information or education, right? I could put out a whole medical diagram of, what is the kind of association with what kind of shit or poop that you have, right? But the thing is, the people who are accepting it, they need to understand that this is logical information, and this is not something where you have to be like, oh, why are we talking about shit now? Because that is where the real problem is, right?
Exactly.
And so many people with gut health issues, on the topic of, you mentioned, Simran very rightly mentioned, gut health problems. And, who better to tell you than me? So many people have gut issues and they live with it so easily. Most of my clients, when they come in and we're discussing their case study and we're talking about different symptoms, right, they'll be like, no, last 5-6 years I have been having this gas issue, but it's fine, I've learned to deal with it. And I'm like, it's a problem.
Exactly.
You have to find a solution for it, because that's the stem from which other problems are now rooting. Because you did not look into the gas problem, you have acid reflux now. Because you're not paying attention to the acid reflux, you can't sleep at night now, and you have a sore throat all the time and you're coughing. So you see how it's like a domino effect and everything is just coming into one circle. So I feel like kudos to your campaign as well. I feel like keep doing this kind of work, educating people with what the real stuff is about. And it's something that actually distinguishes how much knowledge you have when you kind of address difficult things.
Definitely, I completely agree with that point of view. The people I've spoken to have realized that unless and until something disrupts their lifestyle altogether, they don't want to act on it. You don't realize that, again, the domino effect that you spoke about, it's all going to compound and it's going to become something so much bigger. They're just going to wait till it reaches that point, which is the ideology that we're trying to fight, which is exactly what our brand stands for. It's educating you right now so that you can take control of your life, even if you're not suffering from any issues at the moment and you feel like your gut could use a cleanse, your gut could use a detox. It's about knowing that it can. It's that knowledge, it's that education that we're trying to propagate. So yeah, completely agree with your point of view on this.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, you both. I want to ask you guys this, because you guys have started this yourself, and of course there are lots of wins, and then there are lots of losses as well, because you're like learning on the go, right? Tell me what the what the vision is with Truly Health. Tell me what are the kind of turbulences, if any, that you guys came across, and how you learned from it, because it's so important to talk about things that didn't work for us, because it's something that I want to make so common, that listen, everyone is having issues in their own ways, everyone is going through things. The highlight here is, how are you picking yourself up from there and still deciding to move on? And I think the more we speak about it, the more it becomes so common and so easy to address it and openly talk about such things. So please tell me about your vision and mission with the brand, and tell me about how the ups and downs are like.
Radhika, do you want to elaborate on the vision first?
Yeah, let's do that. So I do think that our overall mission is to care for, our vision is to care for the world of every Indian, so we have this tagline, I keep messing it up while talking about it, but we're really attached to it. I think it's to care for your world within.
Yeah.
And I think that means to care for every Indian's gut microbiome.
Yes.
Of course, the whole world as well, but we're trying to be realistic here. I think that, and also we want to create a community of healthcare professionals that take this seriously and educate as many people as we can. And when Simran talks about the hurdles, I'm sure she'll bring this up as well. I think that's what we're looking to accomplish in the next couple of years. And in terms of the hurdles, you're so right, we have to talk about them. In the last couple of months, I think Simran and I have had a lot of trouble relating with other entrepreneurs, and it often gets really lonely because no one is talking about their losses, Like everyone's harping on and on about their wins on LinkedIn, and here we are feeling like shit about ourselves because it doesn't seem like we're making significant progress. When you have a mission so large, no amount of winning is really going to allow you to feel satisfied. I think this question makes a lot of sense. And if Simran, you want to take this?
Yeah. I mean, just continuing with what Radhika left with, I think more people need to talk about it so that people need to realize that we're in this together. I mean, if you're looking at the crest, you're also looking at the troughs. So I mean, it's all a package, and people need to address it like one. For example, the stigma around capsules. The stigma around capsules is something that I still get questions about, even from my friends and family, when they tell me I can eat something as natural as dahi. Why do I need to pop in a pill?
Yeah.
And then I have to stop and I need to tell them that dahi is not the best probiotic because it's in liquid form. By the time it reaches your gut, those microorganisms don't even have viability. Capsule, on the other hand, gives you a protective coating, which is why it's so important for you to consume it in this form. So the stigma around how capsules are very unhealthy, how they're medicines, that was something that we still deal with and something that we're trying to tackle. I think another obstacle which we faced early on was with bureaucracy, trying to get our licenses in place, trying to deal with government officials. It's quite a taxing journey if you think about it. But I think what we've learned is to trust ourselves more than anyone else, and to just be calm. I mean, it's a process. It's anyway going to happen. So it's not that we can expedite it just like we would want it to. But I think we've had our shares of learning throughout this process while dealing with bureaucracy as well. Radhika, would you like to add on?
I think apart from that, going back to education, I think the Indian market is still maybe not completely primed to start taking nutraceuticals as seriously as maybe some Western countries. However, I think that with changing times, it's so important that we put our health first and we look at the most effective mode of delivery, be it kimchi, kombucha, probiotic supplements, whatever works. Unfortunately, we are of the opinion that supplementation is the way forward.
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree with this, and it is kind of a controversial point of view.
Yes.
We really do think that people need to start understanding the significance of the gut microbiota to begin with, and then supplementation after that.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that out, Radhika. I feel like, since you did ask for, what my take on this is like. So, this is what I think. I feel like, and this information that I'm going to share now, right, is all thanks to the live day-to-day interaction that I have on and off with my clients, and I always say, only reading books or only going and getting a degree or only going and studying about certain things does not give you the kind of practical knowledge that you actually need, which is actually beneficial. You have to go out there in the world, live something on a day-to-day basis, help other people get over certain things, or probably, be in that kind of a domain where you're closely working with people one-to-one to be able to understand what the real issues are and how you can kind of transform them, right? So one of the major things that I realized when I started working one-to-one with people, right, everybody doesn't have the same issues, and the solution for these are not the same as well. So, when I'm sitting here and I give you a very biased opinion saying that I only promote natural things, or on the flip side, if I would have to say, I only promote nutraceuticals. Listen, I can't do this because guess what? When I'm catering to a client or when I'm looking at somebody's well-being, I am from the healthcare center, and there is a big word care after the word health. I genuinely do care for the people who come towards me and who ask for help. How am I going to create a one-stop solution for somebody when their solution can be something else? If something doesn't work for somebody, I have to be informed, I have to be educated enough, and I have to be in the power to be able to decide what else can work for them. So I feel like, if a kombucha is working for someone, fantastic, and we give it to them. If a probiotic capsule is working for someone, fantastic, and we give it to them, right? And if, eating kimchi or eating dahi is working for some people, we include that for them. So the thing over here is, why is everyone so obsessed with having just one answer for everything? Why are people so obsessed with having, only one solution is the right solution? Nahi, it's not true. My husband always says this, and I always laugh. He says, 2 plus 1 is 3, and also 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. So the same way, we can have so many different combinations to create one final outcome, right? So I feel like the more we are, and how does this change for us? How does it inform us, or how does this change for somebody to create the right kind of a solution for someone, right? The answer is, number one, you yourself have to be very educated about what you are talking about. You have to come from a background where you have to do a lot of R&D on yourself and by yourself. Every single time that I create somebody for something for a client, or I'm giving information, or I'm giving guidance and support to a client, I've done a lot of R&D on my own before even opening my mouth. I come from a background where I have got a lot of education myself and put myself in a position where I am equipped now to be able to giving that advice. And second thing is, which is very important, is that, are you flexible? Are you adjustable? Are you living with the current times? Because guess what? We're all going on about, natural things and sustainable things and everything. But listen, hello, sustainability can mean something else for somebody. We're forgetting a very important thing which everybody needs today is convenience. The lack of convenience is creating so many issues in people's lives. So why not create a sustainable model where there's also convenience for people? We're going to eat seasonal food. We're going to stick to our traditions as much as possible. But who says we cannot invite the modern technology into our life? Who says we cannot live in the current times? Who says we cannot have a futuristic mindset about certain things, right? I feel like if you don't adapt, if you don't evolve with the times and the current times that you're living in, and have a very strong perception about what the future holds, you are not doing justice to yourself, because then you're living in a position where you're constantly living in the past. And what help does that give you? What benefit is that giving you? Live in the present moment, adapt to all the situations, figure out, get educated about what is it that works for you specifically. Just because something works for Radhika, I cannot prescribe the same thing to Simran.
Definitely.
Yeah. Radhika's temperament, Radhika's personality, Radhika's routine, Radhika's way of lifestyle is very different from Simran's. Mm-hmm. Maybe Radhika likes convenience and Simran doesn't like convenience. She wants to do it the old school way, but Radhika doesn't want to do it the old school way. So guess what? Who am I to decide that no, both of you are going to do things the old school way? Mm-hmm. So I'm all for creating convenience in people's life. I'm all for the aspect where, let's talk about new technology which is benefiting human beings, when it is sustainable, when it is adapting to all the situations around us, not harming anybody in any way. The one of the major reasons why I also was talking about this thing earlier, in another podcast of mine, about the whole plant-based revolution, right? I follow a plant-based lifestyle, and we get this a lot, where so many people will tell us, that so that means that if you don't have milk products, or if you don't eat meat products, the world is benefiting right now. I'm like, if you don't try, you don't know, na. Matlab, you'll have to do something at your end, little bit at least. You'll have to do something or the other, na. You can't be like everybody else is going to do something or the other, and then I'll just sit and wait कि कब बड़ा revolution आएगा, कब मैं कुछ करूंगी. I say start from home, do whatever little it takes. No one's saying कि quit dairy products for all your life, but at least try and reduce how much of you can to begin with, right? Experience it. I'm like, go in for experiences. There's no bigger reward in life than experiencing things,
Definitely.
You're so right, and I hate that argument. I hate when people use that argument, especially because I used to be somewhat of a, I think, an at-home climate activist almost, yes. Where I was like, no guys, I'm not traveling by car, and I'm not going to shop fast fashion. Yes. And I tried, I stopped eating non-vegetarian food and all of that. And I hear this argument so much. Like, what are you going to do? What difference are you going to make? Who are you going to convince? But if I don't do this much, then am I even one to talk?
Yes.
I think that, and also the thing that you mentioned earlier. So Simran and I actually had this conversation in the start while coming up with the entire concept for Truly. We discussed a couple of, I think, like principal values almost. Yes. And one of them was bio-individuality, because the whole concept was to come up with personalized supplements for people. That was the original concept. But because that does not make that much logistical sense, we ended up deciding that we do make these concern specific supplements.
So, when I spoke about like burnout, and, I spoke about this aspect where, um, so many, young, beautiful entrepreneurs like you and lots of others that I'm speaking to these days, right? Where it could be this all or nothing attitude, right? I also feel like when you take that break, when you decide to kind of like take that break for yourself, right? So important that what is it that you are investing in to take that break? How is it that you are taking that break? Is it something that you're just purely going out and doing for entertainment purposes? Because that's not going to refresh you. Entertainment and, infusing vitality, or, rewiring yourself are two different things. You can watch a reel and you can get entertained, but you cannot watch a reel and, significantly give yourself more empowerment. You can't do that. They're two different things. So I feel like investing that kind of, on that note, I would also like to know what you guys do, like, when you have free time, and, when you guys are, not working on the brand. How is it that you guys are doing, your rejuvenation? How is it that you spend your time? What are the few things that you guys do? Please tell us about that.
Definitely. So I think another, like, just before we say what we do, I think another point that Radhika and I have noticed is that it takes active energy to stop thinking about work. So even if, say, we're watching a reel, we're not just getting entertained by the reel. At the back of the minds, we're thinking, oh, should we use this audio? Is this audio trending? Would this help us? So we're constantly thinking about work. So, for us, rejuvenation is to actively stop doing that and then, completely detach for a bit. So I mean, as a pair, we've been, there has been times where we've told ourselves, okay, let's stop thinking about work. Radhika, tell me what's been up with you. So just talking to Radhika, non-work related stuff is something that helps me. We have, at Truly Health, we do group yoga sessions, which we think is very, very helpful. Radhika and I individually start our days meditating, even though we've been struggling with the timeline and for how long we can keep ourselves from thinking about other things. I think just starting and thinking about how we need to include this is a first step.
Yes.
But yes, Radhika, please go on.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. I was telling Simran about this book. It's called How to Do Nothing.
Yes.
It's such a good book. It's by this woman called Jenny Odell, and it kind of talks about how in this age of overstimulation, we try to monetize and we try to take advantage of every single moment.
Yes.
And it's extremely important to give yourself time to just do nothing, just unwind. And my favorite philosopher, his name is Henry David Thoreau. He wrote this book called Walden, and he went into the woods and lived life as almost a monk, like a self-sustaining life where he didn't. He basically extricated himself from a capitalistic system, and this is something we think about a lot. We give away moments of our time for um, maybe capitalistic gain or some sort of dopamine hit, and it's really, really unsustainable. And even with the kind of content that we post on our Instagram, I think we do try and focus on resetting and unwinding, and just giving our viewers and the people of our community, I think, like tiny bits of this information in the most like easily digestible form.
Yes, I love that. I think that was beautiful. Thank you, Radhika and Simran, for kind of revalidating the fact that even when we kind of like choose to unwind, right? It's so important to be actually fueling ourselves rather than depleting ourselves. Thank you for validating that. I think it was beautiful. On the same note, what I want to ask you guys is that, just like you both, there are so many young boys and girls, young entrepreneurs, people who are passionate about doing different things, maybe some have started their projects, maybe some are thinking of starting their project. What is that, what is that advice, or what is that one message that, you guys would like to give individually about how can you do things, or what is something that you've learned over a period of time, or something that you would want to like educate people about, that listen, I've gone through this, and it was a learning lesson for me. So anything like that, please share with us.
Simran?
Yeah, sure. So I think the one thing that has really helped me and Radhika, I think, is doing 1% even on days that we don't want to work at all. So there have been days where we overwork and the next day we feel like shit. We feel like we don't want to do anything. But something that's kept our boat afloat is just do something. Okay, just show some progress, which will keep our head straight and will still keep us motivated. So even if we don't want to shoot a reel, we could probably go to a different department. We can probably fill up one form which will help in the Amazon setup. So just do the bare minimum so that you're still on the track. So even the people out there, there are days when like we said, there are ups and downs. So even when there are days which aren't going as great as you expected them, don't stop. Just do a little bit, so that 1% will ultimately keep compounding, and you'll be at a very, very, you'll be on track. You'll be at a better space. You'll be at a better headspace, so that next time you have more energy, you can take it forward. But just keep putting in that effort, no matter how little that is. Just keep putting in that effort. It'll take you somewhere for sure. Consistency, basically. Consistency is what I've been trying to talk to you all about.
Yes, no, I resonate. I absolutely do resonate. Yes, Radhika, please tell us.
That was really good, Simran. I'm thinking, I think the most important thing that second most important thing we've learned is that you can't pour from an empty cup, I think, and you have to take care of your mental health, and you cannot feel guilty about yourself.
Yeah.
You may feel like your business is an extension of your personality, but sometimes you just have to put yourself first, I think.
Yes, brilliant, beautiful. I feel like both of you have touched base on two very important aspects, and I highly resonate with it. Thank you for sharing with everyone. And this entire conversation has been so much. It's not only been fun, but I feel like there's been so many tiny messages that have been decoded over the entire conversation. Thank you so much. You both have been a lovely, lovely combination to have on board. And I wish the brand and you both individually and the beautiful friendship that you have lots of more power, lots of love. And I hope it flourishes, just like every single thing in your life is meant to flourish in a certain way. I hope it blooms, and I hope it brings in a lot of prosperity in both your lives. Thank you so much for doing this today.
Thank you so much for having us, Karishma. Thank you for being so warm and pleasant. We really enjoyed this conversation.